ask yourself this question. When it comes to returning tithe, do you want gross blessings or net blessings? Think about it. Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Sabbath School Study Group. My name is Chris Bailey, and this is part number 3 of our 5-part series in our look at the tithing contract between God and his people. Today, we're talking about whether to tithe on the gross of our income or on the net of our income. When it comes to understanding what gross is versus net, it's quite simply this. Gross is the actual total and complete amount that we get when we are paid for a job or for whatever it is that we're doing. But the net income, that's something that we get after others have gotten money for what they're due. So whether it's in our taxes or whether it's in our health insurance or whether it's even in retirement or investing in a 401k, these are monies that are automatically deducted, and then what is left, that is your net. Many people have asked the question, should we return tithe on the gross of our income or on the net? And I'm going to read a few verses, and then I'm going to share a thought with you that somebody gave to me that convicted me on the wisdom of my decision. It says in Acts 20, verse 35, I have showed you all things, how that so laboring you ought to support the weak and to remember the words of the Lord Jesus, how he said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. All right, so let's plug that in. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Now, if this is true, the more we give, the more we give, the more enjoyment it should bring to us. Now, that's just like a fundamental principle that we see here laid out in Acts 20, verse 35. Because again, we answer the question, should we give on the gross or on the net? Okay, Acts 20, 35, think about this verse. Luke chapter 9, verse 13. This is a story where Jesus is feeding a whole lot of people. And it says, he says unto them, give them to eat. And they said, and the disciples responded and said, we have no more but 5 loaves and 2 fishes, except we should go and buy meat for all this people. Now, here in this story, it's not a parable. This is an actual event. When this happened, they said, all that we have, not some that we have, all that we have is 5 loaves and 2 fishes. So now what happens in this transaction? In a gospel account, another account of the story, over here in John chapter 6 and verse number 11, it says, and Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed to the disciples, and the disciples to them that were to sit down, and likewise of the fishes, as much as they would. That's the back end. That's the miracle. That's the blessing. But the investment or the decision that little lad had to make, that's a little boy who had these, this bread and this fish. He did not give some of what he had. He gave all of what he had. And then based on that, the Lord performed a miracle. Now, to answer the question of whether or not we should return based on the gross or the net, I had a treasurer say this to me when I was at a treasurer's conference for a bunch of treasurers gathered together. And he said something to me, and I'll never forget, and I say it to you now. When it comes to whether or not to return tithe and to give on your gross and your net, you have to ask yourself the question that I posed to you at the very beginning of the study, and that is this. Do you want gross blessings or net blessings? Please catch this. Let me clarify and clean this up. We don't give to get, but God has promised, and we cannot revoke or deny it. He's so good that he said that when you give, you will be blessed back. It's just like bouncing a ball. If I throw a ball down, the law of physics dictate that the energy that I put into that ball, when it strikes the ground, that does not absorb the energy, it's going to be released back into that ball, and that ball is going to come back to me. When we give out, when we throw out as God has given to us, it's going to bounce back. Can't help it. It's going to happen. So if it's going to happen anyway, does it make sense to get back all or get back some? And God says, I want to give you back all that you can get. So why not give me all the fish? Why not give me all the bread? Because based on that, I'm going to give back all. Ask yourself that question. Do you want gross blessings or net blessings? And based on your answer, you'll find out what you should do.